This video is going to work on moving equations that are in slope-intercept form to standard form, and from standard form to slope-intercept. Now, let's start with this, though. I want to make sure that you understand that slope-intercept form is when it's written basically in y equals form, and our formula is y equals mx plus b. Right? Because the b is the y-intercept and the m is the slope. Now, that's slope-intercept form. In standard form, to go to standard form, let me see here, standard form, it's when we have the x and the y on the same side of the equation. I have ax plus by equals c. Okay, so let me just kind of draw a line here. See, that's standard form, and remember slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. Now, I don't know why they have to change all the letters, but basically, you know, where the x is on, the x and the y-intercept, the constant, are on the same side. Standard form is when the x and y are on the same side. Okay, so right here, it wants us to move, this equation is in slope-intercept form right now, and it wants us to move it to standard form. Remember, ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to draw my line to divide it, and I need to move this 3x over here. Well, to move it to the other side, it's a positive 3x, and I need to do the opposite. The opposite is minus 3x, so I need to subtract 3x from each side. Now I get negative 3x plus y equals 6. And that's my answer. Okay, so my answer now, it's negative 3x plus y equals 6. That's standard form. Let's try the next one. Okay, on the video, you can pause the video, try and put this into standard form, and then press play and come back and see how you did. I'm going to draw my dotted line right here. Again, I need to move this x over here to the left-hand side. So how do I do that? This is a positive x, so I need to do the opposite, and that's subtract x from each side. So now I have negative x plus y, because it's a positive y, and it equals negative 8. That's my answer in standard form. Next one. Pause the video and come back and see how you did. Right, there's my equal sign right there. I probably won't make it that long. There we go. I need to move this x over here to the left-hand side because it needs to be on the left-hand side with the y. It says minus x. To move it to the other side, you have to do the opposite, and you have to add x to each side. So now I have negative x plus y, and that equals 4. There it is in standard form. Next one. Okay, pause the video, come back and see how you do. Now in this case, this one, I'm going to have to do a little bit more switching around because, see, look, the 6 is over here, the on the left, the x is on the right. Basically, I need to switch the spots of the x and the 6. So what I'm going to do first, and you can move the x first if you want to, but I'm going to move the 6 back over here to the right. Since it's plus 6, I'm going to subtract 6 from each side. I get y equals x minus 6. Now what we actually did was move it into slope-intercept form. That's slope-intercept form. Now to move it to standard form, I need to move the x over here to the left. So it's a positive x, and I'm going to subtract x from each side, and I get minus x plus y equals negative 6. Now that right there is in standard form. See, because the x and y are on the same side. Here's another one. Now this one we're going to have another step because it's a fraction, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's just a reminder. Remember, you got to get rid of that number in the denominator. Okay, I'm going to draw my line. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 2/3 x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2/3 x from each side. And I get negative 2/3 x plus y, and that equals negative 5. Okay, well that's fine. And a lot of people try and tell me that this is in standard form. Well, they're like, the x is on one side, the y is on another. But I can't have this denominator. So what I need to do is you're going to multiply the entire equation by this number right here. So I'm going to multiply it by 3. Now by doing that, here to the first one, it makes this 3 cross out this 3, and I'm left with negative 2x. It cancels each other out. Then I need to take 3 times y plus 3y, 3 times negative 5, and that equals negative 15. There is my equation in standard form. Here's the next one. Try and do this one. Now remember, we've got a denominator again, and you need to make sure you get rid of that. I'm going to draw my line to separate it so I remember what sides I'm going to. I need to move this negative 2/5 x to the other side. Since it's negative, I'm going to change it to positive and add 2/5 x to each side. I have 2. Oh, I want to keep that color in black there. All right. Not that it matters, but just to me. 2/5 x plus y equals, these cancel, and it equals 3. Now again, people try and tell me that's still left in standard form, but it's not. I need to get rid of this denominator. So I'm going to multiply the entire thing by that 5. Remember, by doing that, when you multiply by the first one, it makes this go away. So I'm left with 2x, 5 times y, plus 5y equals 5 times 3, 15. There it is in standard form. Next one. Okay, now this, again, is in slope-intercept form. I need to move it to standard form. So I'm going to move that 7/3 x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 7/3 x to each side. I get negative 7/3 x plus y equals 2. Well, that's fine and dandy, but look, I still got that number in that denominator. Multiply this entire thing by 3. So by doing this here, this 3 cancels out, and I get negative 7x, 3 times y, plus 3y, 3 times 2, it equals 6. There it is in standard form. The next one, the last one on this. All right, this is that weird thing where I've got to do a couple different things to move it. First off, I need to move this 3 back over to the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. These cancel. I get y equals 2/3 x minus 3. All right, well, there it is in slope-intercept form, right? Y-intercept and the slope. Now let's go and let's move the 2/3 x over here to the left. So it is positive, so I'm going to change it to negative. I have negative 2/3 x plus y, and that equals negative 3. I need to get rid of that denominator right here. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So by multiplying by the first one, that gets rid of this 3, and I get negative 2x, 3 times y, plus 3y, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. That is it in standard form. Now, that was all. Oh, that wasn't all of it. Okay. Now look, this one is in standard form. Okay, now we're going to go back to going from standard form, and we're going to go to slope-intercept form. So I want to rewrite it so it's in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to draw my line here. What do I need to move first? I need to move the x to the other side. It says I know there's a gap there, but it's a minus x. So I'm going to add x to each side. And I get 4y equals x plus 8. You could put 8 plus x, but I'm just going to put the x first. Then you need to divide by the number that's in front of y, so I'm going to divide by 4. I get y equals, now this is where people get confused. They see x divided by 4. Remember, there's a 1 in front of it. So that is 1/4 x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. There's my equation. My slope is 1/4. My y-intercept is 2. Or you really would write it as 0, 2 because it's an ordered pair. Let's try another one. There's another one. It's written in standard form. We want to rewrite it into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to draw my line. I need to get y by itself, so I need to move this 3x. It's a positive 3x, so I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. This cancels. I get y equals negative 3x plus 4. There it is. Well, what's my slope? My slope is negative 3. My y-intercept is 0, 4. There's my next one. It's in standard form. I want to move it and make it into slope-intercept form. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this 2x to the other side. It's a positive 2x. So I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. I get negative 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. I'm going to divide by negative 5. Okay, these cancel, and I get y equals, now a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Leave it as a fraction, 2/5 x. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. There it is again. Now, what number is my slope? My slope is 2/5. My y-intercept is 0, negative 2. Next, again, it's in standard form. Let's write it in slope-intercept form. Now, don't get freaked out if you get fractions. That's okay. Draw my line right here. I'm going to move this 4x to the left-hand side. It's a positive 4x, so I'm going to subtract 4x from each side. I get negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 11. I'm going to divide by negative 3. Okay, now this is y equals negative divided by negative is a positive, so it's positive 4/3 x. Now 11 divided by negative 3, that doesn't, it makes a decimal, so I'm just going to leave it as negative 11 over 3, and that's okay. We'll leave it like that. Because in this case, my slope is 4/3. My y-intercept, you can still leave it like this, 0 and negative 11/3. Nothing's wrong with that. You may see that on any of your EOC tests. All right, this might be the last one. We'll see. Oh, it is. All right. Now we want to move this and try and move this into slope-intercept form. Well, I'm going to draw my line. Wait a minute, there's no x. What am I supposed to do? Well, let's go ahead and move the 7 over there. I'm going to subtract 7 from each side. These cancel. I get 3y equals 3. I'm going to divide by 3. And I get y equals 1. That's okay. This is a good equation. Remember that if you put in your calculator y equals 1, that means we're going to have a horizontal line right there at 1. It's going to look like this. Well, what's the slope of a horizontal line? 0. What's the y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? Right here at 1. It's 0, 1.